Chapter 2. Violet flames roared out from the jet engines on two small vehicles as they raced above a muddy road through the jungle night. The engines screamed a dissonant two-part harmony as the drivers opened their throttles, causing the vehicles to accelerate and rise higher, their undercarriages glowing brighter, illuminating the wet ground as they rushed by. Following on the broad road behind, hovering on a huge bed of light the color of a warm sunset, was a massive vehicle. Unlike the smaller vehicles screaming ahead of it, this monster made no sound. Aside from the occasional thump or snap against some overgrowth, this great vehicle rushed down the road through the night as quietly as a huge building falling through the air, its crystal engines propelling it with little more than the sound of rushing wind. A woman with short blonde hair, seated next to the driver high up in the front of the big vehicle, watched through the front window as the two smaller vehicles ahead of them roared away. She turned to the driver. "Why are the jet bikes pulling ahead?" The bikes vanished out of sight down the dark road, their whines and engine roars fading to echoes in the jungle. The driver gave a weak half smile. "Yeah, new protocol." With a slight shake of her head, she reached forward and flipped a switch. "Gets us into the outpost faster or something." She shrugged. The blonde woman sat back. "Why the hurry?" The driver turned her opaque lenses to face the woman, then pulled the glasses up to reveal narrowed brown eyes swimming in a lagoon of eyeshadow. "Why the hurry? Oh, I don't know. Maybe because we're about to be flecking attacked?" The blonde woman looked at the driver without amusement. "Selection is the biggest Vectan holiday. It lasts for weeks. The V's aren't going to attack you tonight. They've got to pick a new premier. You've got time to prepare." The driver nodded quick little nods. "Oh, good. I'll let the Federation know that Special Liaison Turner from the Ex-Republic says that we've got plenty of time to prepare before we're attacked by one of the universe's biggest superpowers." She stopped nodding as her face transitioned into a concerned look. "Maybe we can use all this free time to figure out how exactly to fight one of the richest nations ever without a flecking spark's worth of units to throw back at them." The driver's expression fell as she pulled her glasses back down and returned to the nighttime road. The blonde liaison officer turned her head, looking over her shoulder into the massive cargo hold in the back of the vehicle. The hold was packed tight, floor to ceiling, with stacks of pallets holding large, black, hard-shell cases. And crammed into the rows between these stacks were dozens of Phoenix Federation troops. With only the rushing air and the occasional muted thump from the outside, inside the landship it sounded like a warehouse on a windy night. She shouted back into the silent space, "Hey, Sergeant, what do you think of that?" A tall, powerfully built man leaned out from behind a stack of cases. "Honorary Republic Liaison Jennifer Turner. What I think is that our driver should pay less attention to politics and grand strategy and more attention to keeping this landship on the road." Chuckles and amused grumbles sounded out from the troops packed among the stacks. With a grin, Jennifer turned back to the driver. "I think we've got more than a spark's worth of units back there." The driver gave a begrudging smile. "Yeah, maybe." She shook her head. "But we're going to have to make them count." Reaching to her left, the driver tapped 3 red indicator lights. The 3 lights turned blue. "That load of units back there, both the cases and the meatheads, they represent the end of our brave Federation reserves on Namun." She drew in a deep breath. "Sure hope we save the best for last." Jennifer blinked, then looked away from the driver, back to the cargo hold. "So that really is everything then? The last of the supplies from the Republic?" She looked back to the driver. "But what about supplies from your other allies?" The driver rotated her head, bringing her opaque glasses to face Jennifer once again. "Other allies?" She threw a single laugh at her. "Ha!" This time the driver slid her glasses down to the tip of her nose, peering over them at Jennifer. "Look, Demi, I know you were only a liaison officer, so let me enlighten you. She leaned in. The Republic, she pointed at Jennifer, your old nation, she hooked her thumb at herself, and our only ally, she drew her thumb across her neck, is dead. She let out a defeated exhale, pushed her opaque glasses back up her nose, and returned to the road. All of your Republic's old worlds have been absorbed by the League of Nations. Our little federation isn't getting a flecking splinter of a shard. We're fated, man. The Vectans are going to flow back into the galaxy next week or next month. It doesn't matter when, because whenever they do come back, they're going to annihilate us. They're going to wink us out. Jennifer's brow wrinkled. If Vectus tries to launch a new offensive against you, they would be risking a massive sanction from the League. The driver laughed. Sanctions? She continued to watch the road. You think the richest nation in the universe cares about sanctions? The Vectans will attack us, flash us to ash, and then just pay the fine. Jennifer clenched her jaw. Maybe. She rolled her eyes. But even if the League failed to stop them, then the Vectans would be risking a confrontation with the Union army itself. The driver's nostrils flared. The Union? Are you being serious? Jennifer nodded. Yes, the Union. The big landship blustered around a large curve as the road began to turn downwards at a gentle slope. With a single laugh, the driver threw back her head in her chair. For a lightmaker, you're not so bright. She rolled her head to face Jennifer, staring at her through those solid lenses. Brighty, first of all, the Union doesn't have a history of throwing their glorious army into filthy local conflicts with piddly little one-galaxy nations like the Phoenix Federation. Secondly, Miss Glinty, your old Republic's worlds that the Union just absorbed, those were the poorest of the Republic's worlds. The driver rolled her head back to face the road. That's how the Union flows, you know. The great and good and wonderfully fair Union isn't going to give a dim little freedom-fighting nation like us a glinting splinter because they've just taken in 1 million starving worlds with 1 billion starving kids. Her eyes fell briefly to the blonde woman's glittering shoulders, then focused back on the road, and at least one lightmaker. Jennifer looked away.